In this project, we're going to meet the need of a client who has a food truck named Gloria's Express. And Gloria would like an app that allows her to take orders from her menu using steppers and then show the total items in the order, the subtotal, the tax amount, and the grand total to be paid, and then a clear button to clear the order. Her food truck named Gloria Express uses a Great Vibes regular font that you can download from 1001 Fonts, and that is in a light coral color. And she'd like that branding to be consistent. So the clear button should zero everything out, all of the totals as well as the items next to the steppers. In this project, I would suggest using a scroll view as your root child from the content page. And in most cases, our larger phones are not going to need to be scrolled, but it's always good to have a scroll view just in case something doesn't fit. And then we have a vertical stack layout. That vertical stack layout is going to contain an item for our title, and then a horizontal stack layout that has the label for total items, and then another label inside of a border that will show the number of items, and then the subtotal, the tax, and the total are each horizontal stack layouts as well. The bar here separating the totals from the order form is just a colored label that is very, very thin in height. Then we have a label for burritos, and then a horizontal stack layout with our stepper, a label showing the number of items, and then a label showing the price for the beef burrito. And then we have horizontal stack layouts for the chicken burrito and the green chili burrito, a label for tacos, and then horizontal stack layouts for the two types of tacos, a label for drinks, horizontal stack layouts for the two types of drinks, and then the clear button as a separate item in our vertical stack layout. Notice the vertical stack layout has a vertical alignment of start, and that gives us room at the bottom on most phones. So I give you the code for the label that I used for the bar. Notice I said you can also use a box view if you like. And each of the steppers should all call the same value changed event. In that event, you can cycle through all of the steppers and update the numeric values to get the total items, the subtotal, and then calculate the tax and the total. I'll give you a little tip here. I think using arrays for each of the steppers, you have an object array of the steppers containing the names of all the steppers, makes it easy if we just cycle through those steppers to determine which one was clicked. And then you can cycle through an array of all of the items for the labels. And I would set up an array of all of the prices for each item. So that's the instructions. Let me show you the project running. Here's my app running in both an Android emulator and an iOS simulator. On each of these, one way to test this to make sure that everything's working is I would go through and just click each item, make sure you're getting the total of 775 so everything is correct, and then you can undo that. So there's our 750 chicken burrito, our 725 green chili burrito, beef taco at $3.25, chicken taco $3, fountain drink $2.25, coffee at $1.75. And then I would also go through and click each one together. So if you have one of everything, the total should be, subtotal should be $32.75 with the tax $2.42 and a $35.17 total, and there's 7 items. And click the clear button, make sure everything zeroes out, and that all seems to be working. Here it is over on the iOS side. And then the test data that I gave you in the instructions was 1 beef burrito, 2 chicken burritos, 2 beef tacos, 3 chicken tacos, and 5 fountain drinks. And that should be 13 items, subtotal of $49.50, $366 is our tax, and the total then is $53.16. So pause the project here, see if you can do this on your own, but then what follows will be my code review, and I'll show you my solution and walk you through it. So here's my project. I'd call it Stepper Project. You can name it Gloria's Express. And I added in the Great Vibes regular font It's a true type font in my fonts folder. And then wrote the interface in XAML for mainpage.xaml, and here is the code for that. So we have a content page. I set the title of that content page equal to order receipt, and to give it a background color of Alice blue. Our scroll view, and then inside that's a vertical stack layout with a vertical options of start. And then we have our top summary portion. We have a label, which is our Gloria's Express text in light coral using the Great Vibes regular font. I centered that, gave it a margin, gave it a font size, and gave it font attributes of bold. Then the horizontal stack layout below that, I set the spacing equal to 10 to make sure there's some spacing between the items, and it contains a label, which says total items. I centered that vertically, but gave it a horizontal text alignment of N to force it to the right. And then next to that is a border with a stroke thickness of 2 that contains a label. And that label I named LBL total items. Set the width request to 120. Made the text color blue, font size medium, bold. Gave it a text initially of 0. Text alignment is N. I like to put numeric values right aligned. And then a background color of light yellow, and gave it a little bit of padding. I did the same thing. In fact, I basically just copied and pasted that for the next one, which is going to be our subtotal. That's our label text. And then our label inside the border is named LBL subtotal. Basically the same information other than the text is a dollar value of 0.00. Copy and paste that again for the horizontal stack layout for our tax. So change the text of the label. Change the name of that label inside the border to LBL tax. Everything else you can basically say the same. So this can be currency of 0. And then one more time, this is our total, and the name of the label is LBL total. And then here's my label to separate the top portion from the bottom portion. I just used a label with width request of 300, height request of 5, no text, and a background color of light coral to match that of our branding of the food truck name. And here's the bottom portion. It's a vertical stack layout. Spacing of 3. I want to have a little spacing between all the items. Padding of 20 on the left. Gives the left margin. And on the right. So it's that 20 is left and right. Horizontal options will be start. I want to start on the left-hand side. And then vertical options are start. Then I have a label with the word burritos. I'm going to use that Great Vibes regular font again, but this time the font size is large. Horizontal stack layout is the next one. It contains the stepper, which I named Step Burrito Beef. A label, LBL beef, Burrito Beef, that's going to show the number of the value of the stepper. And then a label that just simply shows the text of what that is. Burrito Beef, $7.75. Duplicated that for the burrito, for the chicken burrito, so named it Step Burrito Chicken, LBL Burrito Chicken, and showed the value. And then our Step Burrito Pork and LBL Burrito Pork is our third item under burritos. Another label for tacos, and then basically the same thing for our 2 tacos. Stepper named Step Taco Beef, label LBL Taco Beef, and then the value being displayed there is Taco Beef, $3.25. Duplicate that for our Step Taco Chicken and LBO Taco Chicken, and the information on our chicken taco. Next is our drinks label, and then a horizontal stack layout for the fountain drink. So I named the stepper Step Fountain, and the label LBL Fountain. Fountain drinks are $2.25. Then we have one for our coffee, so the stepper is Step Coffee. LBL Coffee is the numeric label, and then our label saying it's coffee is $1.75. In the stack layout, I'm going to add a button, and the button here is going to say clear. It's going to use a clicked event of clear all, and I gave a little bit of margin on top and bottom just to separate it down. So that's our XAML. Let's look at the code behind. So in the code behind, I started with some constants for our different prices. And I like to do this at the beginning because if we change the prices, I know where they're located. I have to do it once here, and I can refer to this multiple times in code. I have prices for each of those 7 items, plus the tax rate. And then here is our event of update order. I'm going to go back to the XAML code here, so that each stepper is calling a value changed event of update order. And that's true on all of the steppers. So here's the code for that. So I'm going to set the items equal to 0, the subtotal equal to 0. And then I created arrays for the steppers of all the different stepper names, for those labels that are named to show the numeric value, and they're in the same order as the steppers. And then the prices, rather than hard code these here, let's just refer to the constants up here in that array of double prices. I'm going to go through all 7 steppers one at a time, going from stepper 0 to stepper 6, which is my coffee stepper. I'm going to set the text of the label to the value of the stepper, and then set the background color to light green if it's greater than 0. If it's not, I'll set it to light pink. So if it's 0, it'll be light pink. And I'm going to increase the number of items by the value of the stepper, and then get the subtotal equal to the value of the steppers, how many items were ordered, times the prices of that item. Notice we're using I, so whatever item we're going through in our array will reflect the price times the number. That'll give us a subtotal. So it's actually pretty efficient. Even though we're clicking one stepper and going through all 7 steppers, checking their value, that is takes such a minute amount of time to do that this is a very efficient way to go through these steppers and increase the values or decrease them. And then we just need to show the total items, the subtotal, which we're going to put as 2 digits of currency, calculate our tax, display that, and then add the tax and the total together and display that to two values of currency. That clear button, all we're doing there is we're going through the steppers and setting all the steppers equal to 0. As we set each stepper to 0, it's going to run this because those steppers are changing value, and it's going to remove everything else and put these down to 0. Now there's an alternative, not quite as efficient, but you could go through each of the steppers individually, one by one, sequentially. I think using the array is much more efficient. And if we wanted to add more items, all we're doing is adding more items to our 3 arrays to make that work. So that's my solution. Yours may be totally different, but the bottom line is, does it work and give us the right values? If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the .NET MAUI Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.